Hey everyone, as you can note from my channel, I normally play Dark Souls, but because of this quarantine, I've decided to take up a little Sekiro as well. So hopefully all you people that are having issues with the final boss can find a little bit of help with this video. So generally speaking, Isshin, the final boss, comes in 4 sections. So Isshin has 4 phases, and each of the phases, essentially you have to figure out his patterning, and from there use the correct movements. Any mess up in a movement will result in you getting hit. So this first stage is quite simple. Coming out the beginning, you can get in right behind him, miss his mortal draw, and use one of your own. I then try to gain a little bit of distance and block the bow and arrow. But the move we're going to try to use here is the Mikori Counter against his thrust attack. So if you gain about this much distance, you can generally bait him into using it. So after that, I use a mortal draw once. As you'll note, I don't have any spirit emblems by this time, but the mortal draw still works, just it's not quite as rangy, I guess. So that's kind of the process for the first stage. Just keep your distance, and anytime he pulls the bow, block or dodge, and get him to use his thrust attack by maintaining that distance. That's really all there is to it. He does have a couple of more moves, but if you bait him in this way, they won't cause you any harm, essentially. The mortal draw I found is probably the best option to use. If you don't want to use that, you can use the whirlwind. But anything besides that won't really cause him damage if he blocks. So even though he's blocking here, we're still damaging him, both to his posture and health. The one move you really need to worry about is his mortal draw, because when he does it, does take a lot of damage. He normally follows it up with a thrust attack that you can Mikori counter though. So in this second phase, there's a similar pattern that we're going to use. We get him sprinting, then he'll attack with 3, as you just saw. So you want to hold R1 at that point, and attack him again. We're trying to bait this attack here, where he takes his sword, puts it in his sheath, and then winds up. That's really the only attack we're going to be able to use to get damage off him consistently. So I'm letting my posture go back down, and we're going to wait for him to attack 3 times. He did it there, but I wasn't ready at that point. So we want the R1 to be held and to give a thrusting attack after the 3 hits. There's a chance he'll put his sword in his sheath at that point, but there's also a chance he'll go in for another attack. If he goes in for another attack, then we gotta block the 3 again. Like here. Now I went in for another attack, and he actually... Okay, he put the sword back that time. If you get high on your posture damage, I do recommend backing off, because as you can see here, I'm high on my posture damage, and he attacked me again instead of sheathing his sword. So that caused a posture break and caused me to get hit. There is one other attack you can watch out for, and that's during your R1 slash, or your R1 thrust. He could use a, like this move, yeah. So he could use a perilous attack. If that's the case, you simply have to dodge backwards. So the second and third combo, R1 hold. He kicks it, that one, just dodge back, and R1 hold again, and he should sheath it. When you're avoiding his sword in the sheath attack, this attack that we want to bait him into, you want to make sure to keep moving. Keep a little bit of distance between you, and keep moving left is what I do. You don't have to sprint, but he should miss you and give you an opportunity to combo. So as you can see, I got hit a couple times here. And needed to resurrect. Don't recommend getting too impatient. This battle is going to take a little bit through this technique, but it gives you the best chance of winning. so just trust it until you get a posture break, and you can take out his health bar. So slowly move left, let him attack, and then you attack. There are other ways to bait out this attack, but from my experience, this is the best way to do it. So he attacks 3 times, you hold R1, and if he sheaths it, great. If he doesn't, then you either back up to rebuild posture, or you do the same thing with R1 again, and block the 3. With this perilous attack, you simply dodge backwards and then R1 thrust again by holding it, at which point you should sheath it and give you an opportunity to hit him. Now it's important to note that what we're using here, you can get by, as you can see, with no spirit emblems. I didn't use a prosthetic because of that. I do at the end of the video, in the last phase, use a couple consumables to buff, just because I ran out of health. But you can do this if you're more patient without buffing at all. So I stopped moving left there, and I went back to the right at the end, and that's why I got hit. So if you keep that left movement. And that finishes up the second phase. Now the third phase is going to be very similar to when you fought Jinshiro on the dojo, top floor. He's gonna give you an attack that pretty much the attack that you want. So you want to keep your distance here because his spear will do massive damage. He does have a thrust attack you can Mikori counter, but he doesn't use it that often. He has another perilous attack he uses more often, so I recommend dodging. The main attack we want to get is that jumping attack, and it's important to note that when you jump, or when he jumps, you want to roll under it and dodge, but you have to do it in such a way to roll a little bit to your right, because if you just dodge forward, you'll still get hit. So when I dodge a little bit to the right as well as forward. Now, even when you do it correctly, there's a chance that he could use a quick attack like that and still damage you. So you will need some health for those cases. So you dodge a little bit to the right and forward. That was a late dodge. That's what happens. So that'll happen if you dodge late or if you dodge completely straight. Again, I recommend using the Mortal Draw because it will do damage even if he blocks it. And that's not the case for some of the other attacks. The Whirlwind Slash will do it as well, but a lot less damage. So Mortal Blade's probably the best way to go to get maximum damage, even if he decides to block. Follow that technique a couple times, and that'll get you through the third phase. Now the fourth phase is obviously the hardest. There is lightning damage that he uses, but by and large, it's the same as phase 3. The lightning will do massive damage to you, but there's only 2 attacks he uses that he doesn't use in the third phase. Those are both lightning attacks, they're both perilous attacks, so you'll know they're coming. We still want to keep a little bit of a distance and bait him into using that jump attack, so we can roll a little bit to the right and forward underneath him. His 2 lightning attacks aren't very hard to dodge, but you just need to make sure you keep a little bit of distance when you're not attempting to roll under him, because if not, they will hit you and they'll take a lot of your damage, or a lot of your health in one shot. So I keep using this technique until he's dead. Essentially, he gets low health and the posture damage is enough to get a kill on him. So I hope this helps beating Isshin in all 4 phases so you can finally complete Sekiro. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. But yeah, thanks for watching and feel free to watch the rest of the fight. I hope you don't get corona.
Yeah.